I forgot to add myself to the stream. Whoopsie daisy. Good evening, geeky types. It is Friday, and that means it is time for some choose your own adventure type shenanigans. I was a bit late getting this stream set up, so I don't know if notifications have gone out there to people who normally get them. But we do already have Grumpeld Slan, Daniel Kearney, and Roland Bishop in chat, all familiar names. Hope you've all had a good week. And here's Elfbait as well, familiar name and a familiar face in the channel. So, with 4 people in chat, I'm going to let chat build up a little bit before we actually kick off the reading. But and here's Crafting Gamer. Hello. Yeah, I forgot to click on to add myself to the channel because I'm really stupid. So there's 12 seconds of me talking and not realizing why my face isn't on there. We've all had some games, and there's Green Dragon as well. We've all had some games since we last spoke on Wednesday. We played Shadow of the Demon Lord last night. More nefarious goblin shenanigans. Just the 3 of us this time. Myself, it was Gingerbeard and General Nut, and Slan lurked background and had a listen to our shenanigans. But it was good fun. Lots of laughter, lots of bad behaviour. Anyway. So it's only been 2 days since I streamed. Right, so given that I was organised last week and I did ask you what you wanted me to do this week, and that won the vote. So that one, what came second in the vote? Of course, it was Warlock of Firetop Mountain. So I'll get that ready as well for whenever we die, or indeed if we win. I don't know if you can hear me while I'm actually facing away from the screen. I'm not very clever like that. But there's my copy of Warlock of Firetop Mountain. There it is. There it is. Would be at the bottom of the pile. There we go. There's Warlock. That's ready for if we die or win. Yes, Selfbait, you did miss the Gobbo game. And it was fun. It was fun. Gingerbeard nearly died in this one. It was my fault again. Yes. I caused the fight and Gingerbeard got whacked. Right. But we had a different leader of the party. It was General Nut's turn to take charge and start giving us orders. And we have been promoted as well. We've been promoted to dogs because dogs get treated better than goblins. So we're happy with that. Right. Alone Against the Tide. Fresh character. I've already got him all prepared. He is an author, and I've called him Stan Broker. So there we go. Stan Broker. He's an author. Correct. Dogs are not food. Goblins can be. Right. So let's see if Stan survives better than poor old Magnum PI got done in last time. Right back to the very beginning of Alone Against the Tide. The sun sinks low on the horizon as you board the ferry headed across the lake to Esprit. As you set foot on the boat, the ferryman greets you with a wide smile and a cheery wave. He stands by the gangplank as you pass, welcoming the other passengers as he removes his cap to scratch at his balding head. His pudgy figure fills his well-worn suit. He looks a little awkward, but he seems a rather pleasant sort. Leaving the man behind you, you take a seat toward the prow, eyes fixed on your destination. You settle into a seat with your thin briefcase resting on your lap, noticing that the rest of the passengers are likewise getting comfortable for the short trip across the lake. Glancing around, you catch sight of the ferryman entering the cabin. As you sit patiently and wait for the engine to come to life, you listen to the sounds of idle chatter around you. You look out across the water and notice a thin fog beginning to form over the surface of the water as the temperature drops with the approach of night. After a few minutes, you hear the engine sputter into action and feel the ferry lurch forward. The conversations around you continue as the ferryman joins you all on deck. You can't help overhearing most of the talk, though. It's surprisingly banal. There are about a dozen passengers on the ferry. Most of them are simply looking to spend their money during their weekend in Esbury and enjoy the various shops and leisure activities the lakeside town has to offer. Many of the passengers seem to come for money, as is common in Esbury. You notice a strange look from one of the women in the group. She has a full figure, brown hair and eyes, and she seems to be looking you over, admiring your features. I've already made the characters. This is the point where it normally prompts you to make your character. I don't know why she's admiring me because we've got an appearance of 40. We're quite small and somewhat nerdy, but we've got high education, dexterity, and intelligence with this character. He is an author, and his best skills are archaeology, literature, credit rating, dodge, fighting brawl. He's got a bit of handguns. He's got history. He's got other language, Sanskrit. Ha ha ha! Because I remember that from last time. Good at his own language, library use, listen, occult, psychology, and stealth. Those are his skills. He's got not a lot in anything else. And it tells us to go to 80. The woman clearly sees something in you that she likes. Perhaps it's your looks or a glint of intelligence in your eyes. It's intelligence. She gives you a sly wink before turning back to her companions. You likewise turn your attention to the rest of the passengers. Sitting apart from the general crowd are two men in dark, well-tailored suits, whispering quietly to each other. They have unamused expressions on their faces, as if they don't seem pleased to be here. Perhaps they're on business. Noticing that you're sitting alone, the ferryman approaches you and stands over you with his characteristic smile. You notice he's missing a tooth in the upper left corner of his mouth. His eyes are bright as they light upon you. Good afternoon. You look a bit lonely there, friend. What brings you to Esbury? And this is where we choose our skills and profession. And I'm going to tell him we're an author because that's what I've picked for this one. Just to get into it a bit more quickly. You tell the ferryman you're an author working on a new novel and that you've been researching for some time. You mention how you are planning to consult with Professor Harris here in Esbury about some historical background information for your writing. The ferryman looks at you quizzically. Professor Harris? Didn't you hear? He's dead. About a week ago. Officer Powell could tell you more. Or his widow, Amelia. She'll be hosting an estate sale for some of the professor's things tonight. Poor thing. She really needs the windfall, especially in a town like Esbury. Maybe you could pick up some of his notes for cheap and do the research yourself. The man shrugs, clearly not wanting to dwell on buying the items of a dead man. He extends his hand in a friendly gesture, trying to change the subject. I'm Lance Sanford, by the way. Pleasure to meet you. So we've got a choice of things to ask him here. Do we ask him about Professor Harris? Do we ask him about Officer Powell? Do we ask him about himself? Do we ask him about the estate sale? Do we ask him about the widow Amelia? Or shall we just wait on the boat? 6 choices and only 7 people in chat at the moment. So if anything gets 2 votes, it's pretty much going to get it, really, isn't it? So off you go. Make yourselves a choice. 8 people in chat now. So your first choices. Ask the ferryman about Professor Harris. Ask him about Officer Powell. Ask him about himself. Ask about the estate sale. Ask him about the widow Amelia. Or pass the time waiting to arrive. 3 votes straight away for the police officer. Roland reckons ask him about himself. Currently outvoted. I have to give other people a chance to vote, though. Somebody's just dipped out of chat. We'll have our usual supply of lurkers, I guess, as well. Hello, lurkers. There was some great generosity from Crafting Gamer and from Hungar on Wednesday. You notice a lot of people have turned green. That's largely because of their generosity, but it did out quite a few lurkers at the end of the stream. People who've just been sat there who randomly got revealed as being present. Always, I find that amusing. Anyway, we're going to ask about the officer. You ask about Officer Powell, and Sanford gives you a guarded response. He's the law in Esbury. Certainly knows what he's doing, since he handles the town on his own. Truth be told, though, he can be a little intimidating. He's a big man, and not somebody you'd want to find yourself on the wrong side of. I think he gets it from his days in the war. I don't have cause to talk to him much, though. You exchange a few more pleasantries with Sanford before he goes off to finish guiding the boat into port. You pass the time in casual conversation with the other passengers and in observing the scenery. You note the tall pines about the sloping hills along the lakeshore around Esbury. These features and the small town beyond are just visible through the growing mist, but squinting helps make them out to your satisfaction. In time, you arrive on the pier at Esbury, grateful to be off the water. Here's where we arrive in the town. We're going to get to the proper choices soon. You take your first steps onto the pier with the rest of the ferry passengers, trying to get your land legs once again. The passengers still chat casually as they walk off to their destinations. You note one last little flirty wink from the full-figured woman as she struts along confidently behind the women accompanying her, and you feel the 2 dark-suited men push past you at a brisk pace, nudging you out of their way. Sanford gives you one last wave and a smile as he begins tending to the old rust-stained boat that is his pride and joy. The last light of the sun is fading fast, and the fog is growing thick on the water now. The night is still young, but you'd rather not be wandering around in the dark and fog of a town you're unfamiliar with. Taking in your surroundings, you see a sizable crowd jockeying for entrance into a lavish, modern-looking building along the lakeside. A folding sign sits out front, illuminated by a lantern. The words, "Estate Sale Tonight," are written on it in large, bold letters. While this seems to be the main attraction, you could also seek out somewhere to stay for the night and set about your work in the morning. Shall we go to the estate sale, or shall we just go and find somewhere to stay? I mean, we've all got mugs with our initials on, haven't we? Estate sale or somewhere to stay? Slan's getting outvoted this time. It's 3-1 for the estate sale. Potentially 4 more votes, looking at the numbers in chat. Thought last week would be the quiet one, but it might be quiet this week. Any more votes? No more votes. Estate sale it is then. I gave us a better credit rating this time. You just missed the voting sausage. But there'll be another vote very, very shortly. We've gone to the estate sale in the town of Esbury. We're playing Alone Against the Tide, which we died playing last week. Pushing through the crowd, you make your way toward the estate sale. Judging by the number of people packing into the dance hall, this seems to be quite the event. Most of the people here are well dressed, with conspicuous amounts of jewelry and designer clothing on display. You see a broad-shouldered man in a policeman's uniform standing by the door. He has a scarred yet clean-shaven face and a baton at his side. His brow is furrowed in a serious expression, and he watches the commotion through narrow eyes. As you mingle with the assorted academics and collectors, you notice a few other faces that stand out in the crowd. Most immediately, you spot a man in flowing orange robes with tawny skin. He seems more than a little out of place and is garnering some odd looks from the other guests. Glancing around further, you happen to notice the two dark-suited gentlemen from earlier standing in a corner toward the front of the room, talking to a young dark-haired man in a dated yet elegant long coat. He is of slight build and has rather sharp features. A thin wisp of a moustache hangs beneath his nose. Most noticeable, though, is the rather attractive young woman standing on the stage at the front of the room next to a bespectacled old man. Long black hair cascades down her shoulders, accentuating her pale features and complementing her formal black dress. Occasionally, she and the older gentleman white sheets, the sale items waiting to be displayed. Right. We have got 6 choices here. Do we mingle with the crowd of guests? Do we speak to the officer at the back of the room? Do we approach the man in orange? Do we introduce ourselves to the dark-suited men? Do we go towards the stage and the woman? Or shall we leave the hall and find a place to stay for the night? Those are your choices. I always enjoy my Friday night more when I haven't got work on a Saturday morning. I'm not in work now till Wednesday. Actually, I've got my other job on Sunday night. My pub quiz. You might be able to help me with that if you want. If any of you are general knowledge fiends, pop a general knowledge question in chat. We'll see if I can answer it. But if it's good, I'll put it in the quiz. Make yourselves useful. But no, I've been hosting quizzes for 25 years, so finding new things to ask questions about is difficult. So I need to use and abuse whatever quiz sources I can find. I often sit on YouTube watching reruns of quiz shows, making notes. Right. 4 people are voting for the pretty lady at the moment. Nobody else voting? Pretty lady wins. 22. You make your way to the stage, navigating around the many guests in the dance hall. Your eyes lock firmly on the woman, and hers rise to meet yours as she looks up from peeking at one of the hidden objects. She stops what she's doing as you approach, and a smile appears on her lips as she notices that she's caught your eye. She rests the left hand on her hip as you come to stand at the foot of the stage. The old man behind her continues his inspections, either unaware or uncaring that you've come to distract them. The woman leans towards you over the edge of the stage. You can see her makeup has been painstakingly applied despite her status as a recent widow. You clear your throat as you meet her gaze and promptly introduce yourself. She extends her hand to you formally. Well, aren't you a new face in town? She teases. We get those quite a bit here. No doubt you plan to bid on some of my late husband's things. Good for both of us, I say. Just be sure to give a good price for little me. All right, She winks slyly at you. You realize now would be a good time to get some more information from this woman who might be the most well-informed regarding your interests. She certainly seems like the flirty sort and will probably respond well to more of the same. Sausage. I have no idea what Lincoln Logs are because I don't think they've ever made it over to Britain. It's a British pub quiz. That was where we might have a few issues. Lincoln Logs. Famous inventor's son. I'm going to guess Edison. Most famous inventor ever, probably. Oh, architect. I read it as inventors. Most famous architect. Oh, okay. That's my brain going ahead of my eyes there. So I read inventor instead of architect. Whoops. Frank Lloyd Wright. Okay. I've no idea what Lincoln Logs are, though. Are they something like Lego building type stuff? Construction toys, you say there. So Meccano, Lego, that sort of thing. But I could ask the question, Lincoln Logs. In America, what are Lincoln Logs? I'm guarantee someone will say something about poo. Anyway, we're at the next bit in the book. Tinker. No, not that I remember. Got a type of toy called Tonka. We're going to make a charm roll here. I am, and we have failed it by 53, so that's not very good. Our charm is rubbish. They're only good. Well, if they're logs, yeah. You build houses, log cabins. You manage a smile and stumble through a compliment, and the woman laughs. Oh my. Well, aren't you the nervous sort? Don't know what to say to a pretty woman like me, eh? That's quite all right. I wouldn't have you anyway. You're welcome to stay for the sale, though. I might like you better as a buyer. She winks and turns around, walking back to her place on the stage. Makes sense that they're Lego? Here in Britain, Lego is the plural. We don't say Legos, we just say Lego. A piece of Lego, a Lego brick, or the plural is Lego. Differences between the lingo across the pond. Right, you have begun gathering information in Esbury. Would you like to interact some more? Right, we can now select another option from the list below. We've got 3 maximum. So mingle with the crowd of guests, speak to the officer, approach the man in orange, introduce ourselves to the dark-suited men. We've already made our way towards the stage. So the other option is to leave the hall. But ideally, we're picking from the first 4 there. Mingle with the crowd of guests, speak to the officer, approach the man in orange, or introduce ourselves to the dark-suited men. I'm glad you admit that, Elfbait. Because you say a Lego, don't you, for a piece of Lego or a Lego brick? Have I missed something? Crafting Gamer's laughing about something, and Straw Piglet saying, thanks, crafting. Have I missed something? I'm just dense. Oh, thank you, Crafting Gamer. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So if you've just turned green, say thank you to Crafting Gamer. That's marvelous. It's marvelous. I do wish when people did that it would appear in StreamYard, because it's so frustrating. I can't see that it's happened. And I've only got one monitor. If I had two monitors, I could have a YouTube one open and see it happening, but I haven't. I've only got one monitor because I'm cheap. Yeah, caught you out while you were lurking. You failed your hide in shadows roll. You were spotted. Right. We have choices at the moment. Mingle with a crowd of guests, speak to the officer, approach the man in orange, or introduce yourselves to the dark-suited men. We have 3 people voted so far. They are Mingle, Officer, and dark-suited men. So, yeah, thanks, Crafting Gamer. Much appreciated. So we've got 1 vote for the Buddhist monk, 1 vote for Mingle, 1 vote for the officer, and 1 vote for the dark-suited man. Indecisive. Five lurkers. Wake up and vote. I get you're probably lurking because it's towards the end of the working day, and you want to try to appear to be busy at work, but you can't leave for another 3 minutes or 63 minutes, however long, whatever your time zone is. So you're just trying to look as though you're busy. I don't know, Sausage Toes. What did the Buddhist monk say to the hot dog vendor? I hope it's clean. Anybody else going to vote? Make me one with everything. Hello, Mobius. I still need another vote. Encourage you to vote, to encourage you, those of you who are lurking, to vote. Next vote gets it. Next vote I see gets it. Remember, I've got a bit of lag here. So I want either Mingle, speak to the officer, approach the man in orange, or introduce yourselves to the dark-suited man. Next vote gets it. Because we're all tired. Daniel, you can't vote twice. You've already voted Mingle. But yeah, of course, Daniel's got a second account. He'll log in as the missus soon. Mink. Does that Mingle? Monk. Okay. Mobius gets it. With Monk. Approach the man in orange. Okay. That's what we're going to do. You approach the strange man. He seems well travelled and weary, and his long robes are a stark contrast to the fine suits and dresses of the New England financial elite. He seems decidedly out of place. You open your mouth as if to speak and find him staring intensely at you. Make an anthropology roll. Didn't think about this skill. We've got 1% in anthropology, and I've rolled 91. So we've just stood there and gone. If you fail, turn to 37. Let's get these bad rolls out of the way now. You blurt out a greeting, trying to make the stranger feel welcome. His face contorts into a look of disappointment, and the man turns his back on you. You have clearly displeased him, somehow, and he wants nothing more to do with you. Yeah, so there then. Right, we're back to those decisions. Once you've chosen 3 options from the list below, okay, so we've got one more choice: mingle, officer, or dark-suited men. One more choice on the list: mingle, officer, or dark-suited men. Mingle, mingle. I'm single, let's mingle. Okay, so it looks like people really, really, really want to mingle here, apart from Straw Piglet, who wants to go for the dark-suited man. But chat has woken up, and people are contributing now, and we have lots of votes for mingling. To mingle with the crowd of guests, turn to 34. Rather than single anyone or anything in particular out, you feel it would be best to use your time to get a general impression and speak to multiple people to get their points of view. Hearing the talk around the room, you come to understand that most of the people who have gathered here are merely treating this as a social event. However, there are a fair number of academics and collectors in attendance as well. Judging by the relative wealth of the townsfolk, you imagine there will be a lot of bids placed on the items. While walking among the guests, you happen to notice a pair of men conversing in hushed tones. They seem to be trying to avoid being overheard, but a keen ear might be able to catch what is being said. We've died once on this adventure, and it was last week. Or was it the week before? Last week, wasn't it? We got shot by the police officer resisting arrest. So let's not do that again. We are back at the auction. Yes, we're back at the auction. This is the auction on our second playthrough. Okay, listen check. And we've passed this one. 39. Our lesson is 40. Hey, that's our first successful dice roll of the session. If you succeed, go to 2. You position yourself close to the men and tune your ears to their conversation. Between you and me, I heard that most of these items are fakes. Outright hoax counterfeits. Harris was a doddering old nut. He claimed that his findings predate the earliest known records of ancient India, but that's impossible. They're completely inconsistent with all of the other data, and besides, there's a reason why he left the Miskatonic, if you catch my meaning. The other man nods his approval. You aren't wrong. His findings aren't properly supported by evidence. Yet he kept trying to publish his hogwash. I imagine that's why they had him resign. Still, at least a few of the items might be authentic, so hopefully this won't be a total waste of time. The first man shifts his stance and lowers his volume slightly again to where it is just perceptible. Maybe. And that monk over there does seem to lend some sort of validity to your claim. If an actual Indian wants them, perhaps there is something valuable here. And now we've done our 3 visits, so we have to move on. So 35. We're moving on to the auction itself. Here's where we do our bidding. This was fun last time. The murmuring of the crowd dies down and people begin to gather around the stage as Amelia and the older gentleman call everyone to attention. The widow strikes confidently. The widow strides confidently to the front of the stage where the lights are centered. She flashes a broad smile at the crowd and begins to speak. Good evening, everyone. I'm so glad you could all make it tonight. As you know, my husband recently passed, and, well... At this point, Amelia begins to tear up theatrically, so much so that her makeup begins to smear. She produces a handkerchief to dry her eyes before continuing. Well, I'm very upset. I miss my poor William very much, and I don't know what I'd do without him. And that's why I've brought you all here tonight. I hope you can find some use for his collection. And I know that he would be happy to see his things go to those who value them highly. I hope you'll show this poor widow a kindness by finding something you like. But now, let us begin. I'll leave the auctioning to Mr. Warren. With her opening statement complete, Amelia moves to stage left and allows the bespectacled old man, presumably Mr. Warren, to take centre stage. He clears his throat before speaking. Tonight, we have 6 very ancient and very valuable items for sale from the house of from the estate of Professor William Harris. Though exceedingly strange, I have deemed these items to be authentic to the best of my ability. I have placed a ballot box, slips of paper, and a pencil on each of the 6 tables next to the item for sale. If you wish to bid on an item, simply write your name and the amount you are willing to pay for it on a slip and place it in the box. The item will be sold to the highest bidder. All the proceeds will go to the wife of the deceased. With that, Mr. Warren moves to reveal the gathered items. Mr. Warren approaches the first table and removes the cloth. I need to get my brain sorted and get my teeth in and try again. Mr. Warren approaches the first table and removes the cloth covering to reveal an odd pair of clay cylinders covered with strange etchings. Hello, Halakar. They are small and seem quite fragile, with large cracks running down their sides. Mr. Warren proceeds to the next table and likewise uncovers the item in question. This one is significantly larger and more ornate. It appears to be some sort of altar or reliquary, heavily decorated with yellow-green gemstones. However, there is one similarity with the first item: the presence of the same strange characters. One seems to have been paid on. Takes item in question and is it all to see. A decorated crown of solid bronze, wrought with the image of a Hindu god. The next item is certainly the most mundane: a large, thick, leather-bound journal that appears to well worn and beaten, with several loose papers jammed between the pages. Mr. Warren senses the confusion of some members of the crowd and clarifies that the notebook is the assembled personal works and studies of Professor Harris. The item that follows the journal is a well-preserved ceremonial robe of a Brahmin priest. The cloth is pure white. The last item is perhaps the strangest of all. It is a small statue or idol, presumably one of the many deities of ancient India, made of a blue-green stone in the shape of a rather grotesque lizard-like creature. The craftsmanship is crude and gaudy, so much so that it appears fake. People begin moving among the items, looking them over and conversing quietly. My wife has no idea of the value of my role-playing game collection because I don't tell her how much I spend. My D&D stuff probably isn't worth all that much because it's battered. It's my MERP stuff that's worth the most. Right, it says here, make an appraise or an archaeology roll. It's going to be archaeology. We've got archaeology of 40. I've rolled 54. Do we use 14 points of luck to pass this? True elf bait, we're not going to know, but wouldn't it feel nice for it to go to somebody who wants them? I suppose if they were listed on eBay and bought by a collector in however many years, they may well be collector's items by then. So do we use 14 of, we've got 55 luck. 55 luck. Do we use 14 to pass this archaeology roll? We had an odd bit of news in the family earlier in the week. I have a younger brother. He's 7 years younger than me. And we've got a few oddities in the family. My dad's brother is very much autistic. My dad shows signs of it, as do I, only mildly. My brother was born mildly disabled. He's deaf in one ear. His balance is all over the place. His head sort of sits a little to one side because his vertebrae in the back of his neck aren't right. And he's got by. I mean, didn't do great at school because he couldn't hear what was going on, but he passed. And for the last 29 years since he left school, he has worked in manufacturing, physical stuff, lifting, grinding, generally making stuff. But his back problems have become really, because of his spine issues, have become really bothering him recently. So much that to the state where they've, if he goes out shopping, they have to take one of those electric wheelchairs for him to be able to get back to his car. So he takes an electric wheelchair now. He can walk around for about an hour, and then his back gives up. And on Monday, after 45 years, he finally got a proper scan and was diagnosed with spina bifida at the age of 45, which is a bit of a shock. A little bit of a shock. But he's done a lot of good stuff. I mean, there's things he wouldn't have been allowed to do because they've said, no, your spine will you do that. He's done all sorts. I mean, when I was rallying, he was my co-driver. He built the car. Anyhow, yes, we've got to decide whether we are using the luck, right? Okay. While you're all talking about what you'll do with your ashes and getting all morbid. Oh, he's absolutely fine. If anything, he now knows what it is that's caused his problem all these years, and caused all the other issues he has, because he's deaf in one ear and all his pipes are all wrong. He also suffers from Meniere's disease, which is fluid and bits moving around in his good ear. But we know why now. We know exactly why. So it can be treated, and he can get help. He can officially get help, whereas he couldn't before. So he can apply for things like a special car because his back is going. He doesn't want to quit it. He doesn't want it because he enjoys it. If he can, as long as they're okay with him taking his electric wheelchair to work, he'll quite happily pootle around in his electric chair and continue making things. He enjoys it. He enjoys working. But he can actually, we've got a Motability scheme here where you can get modified cars provided to you, and all you've got to do is put fuel in them, which means he can sell his car and get a converted car designed to with a loading bay for wheelchair in and all that sort of stuff. And to be honest, 29 years of working night shifts and overtime, I think he deserves it. Anyway, we're using luck to pass the roll. You examine the items with a trained eye. The crown and the ceremonial robe are obviously authentic and are typical of what you would expect. They're in great condition and would certainly fetch a good price, though they are no rarer than any other antiquity. Likewise, Professor Harris's journal seems like it would be of value to a scholar, though a few delicate cursory page turns show that it contains personal accounts and travelogues as well as historically relevant information. This is likely a good source of information on Professor Harris himself. However, the other items present are noticeably different. The altar and clay cylinders bear a similar script and both show comparable signs of aging and wear. Given this, they are unlikely to be fabrications, but they are unlike more traditional finds from ancient India. A close inspection of the lizard idol leads you to believe it is likewise verifiably authentic, though the workmanship is strange and unnatural and clearly nothing like anything you've seen from ancient India or elsewhere. It doesn't bear any signs of work from modern tools or influence from modern styles either. Okay, so it is suggesting avoid the crown and robe, and go for the book, the cylinder, the altar, and the idol. You notice you're not the only one looking over the items with such interest. The monk appears to be closely scrutinizing the stranger items as well, and the dark-suited gentleman from earlier seemed to have taken a liking to the curious idol. Apart from this, the various other guests wander around the tables, occasionally fixing on one in particular. There are many guests and a fair number of bids being placed. Okay, what should we bid on first? Daniel's saying book. We were up to 12 in chat, but we're down to 9 now. People have come and gone. I would say no and no to that sausage. Definitely leaning towards the book at the moment. With 3 votes for book, Halakar's hedging his bets by voting for 2 things. There was an idol, yes, yes. It's the Lizard Man action figure. Right, we now have 4 people saying the journal. It's pretty certain we're gonna go for the journal. Yep. Let's start off with the journal. You feel the information in the journal is essential to your interests, and you cannot help but make a bid. You place your paper with the others and hope that Mr. Warren calls your name when the amounts are compared. Make it a praise or credit rating roll. Okay, we've got a credit rating of 50. 14. Looks like we've got the book. You feel that the knowledge in these pages could very well prove essential to you, so you offer a price that is more than fair. Sure enough, Mr. Warren calls your name and presses the leather-bound tome into your eager hands. So we have the book. But it has cost us 2 points of credit rating. Okay. Go to 81. Right. What should we bid on now? Clay cylinders, altar, crown, robe, or idol? We're currently on 2 for cylinders, 3 for idol. 4 for idol. So we vote on the idol. Billy the idol. Something draws you to the curious idol, and you feel compelled to make a bid. You notice you're not alone in this, as the monk and one of the dark-suited men both place bids of their own. You hope that yours is high enough. Hello, Squirrel. How are you? Now we've got to pass an extreme credit rating roll. We have a 9% chance of this. 23. We could use another 14 luck if you want. We've got 41 luck left. It's there to be used. So up to you. Do you want to use 14 luck to get the idol, which would leave us with 27 luck, or shall we let the idol go? If anyone can check back, it should give a list of all the people who got gifted that membership. Obviously, I can't see it, but I remember when there was a spate of people giving out memberships a while or two back, and a couple of days later, it appears that some of the money got refunded back, which probably means the memberships weren't claimed. There might not have been enough non-members in chat at the time to receive them. So I think you need to turn on the option to receive gifts in your own settings. But it should show the 5 people who've received it. If it doesn't show 5 people received it, then there wasn't enough people in chat to take advantage of all of it. Memberships are random. They're randomly assigned. I have no say over where they go. And neither does the person who pays for them. It's just... Right, okay. You got the notice. Just I found out about that about 2 weeks ago. I was watching another channel and someone gave memberships, and I was one of the ones who received it, and it popped up. Okay. So it looks like we're using luck. I think we will. We'll have a chance to bid again. Only Roland seems to be reticent to not use the luck. Okay. Succeed. 86. Clearly, none of the others expected anyone to pay such a ludicrous price for the crude idol. You still can't believe how much money you offered for it, but the grotesque and misshapen thing is now yours. The monk and the men in dark suits stared daggers at you, but nobody else seems to mind or take much notice beyond a few raised eyebrows that anyone would pay such an excessive amount for such a trifling and outlandish thing. Still, when you look Amelia's way, you can tell she's quite pleased. That's cost us 10 points of credit rating. So we've got 38 credit rating left for our bidding. Okay. Clay cylinders, altar, crown, or robe. We have got the option to leave. So clay cylinders, altar, crown, and robe. Those are the choices. Something I do forget to do. If anyone does want to pop in and just join me for a bit of banter, there's the link. It's always in the Discord channel, but there's the link in case anyone's not in the Discord channel. Roland wants to bail. Everyone else is bidding, and it looks like cylinders are the choice here. So, Roland, you're being outbid. Oh, Straw Piglet would like to leave and read our book. No worries, Squirrel. No worries. You keep yourself wrapped up warm. Shot of something strong to make you feel better. Cylinders, 24. You write a reasonable bid for the pair of clay cylinders and place it in the box. Shortly after you do so, Mr. Warren clears the box and begins checking the bids. And this is a hard appraisal credit rating roll. We've got a 19% chance. I don't think luck can keep going our way, can it? No, no, no. Oh well. We don't have enough luck to make that pass, so we failed. So we don't get the cylinders. Sorry. Blame my dice. Though you wish to buy the curious clay cylinders, someone else placed a higher bid. You hear Mr. Warren announce the name, Arthur Duncan, and see one of the dark-suited pair approach to take the item from him. Are we going to keep bidding? Up to you. Altar, crown, or robe, or leave. Altar, crown, robe, leave. We have 38 credit left. I've got itchy nose now. 3 for alter, 1 for leave so far. 4 for alter, 2 for leave. 13 in chat. It must be home time. What time does the working day usually end in America and Canada? Is it 5:30-ish? Most jobs? Obviously depends on shifts. So alter, leave, alter, leave, crown. So we're 4-2-1 at the moment. But I'm guessing if you finish at 2, you're starting at 6 o'clock in the morning, aren't you? 6. That would kill me. I'm a night owl. Don't usually go to sleep till about 1, half 1. Wake up 7:30-ish, into work for 9. That's my usual. I'm glad the shop opens at 9 nowadays. It used to open at 8 o'clock. That used to absolutely brutalize me. I'd be a zombie for the first 2 hours. D&D reference from Helicar there. So we're currently on 4 alter, 1 crown, 2 leave. Any more votes? 14 people in chat. And just to let you all know, Gingerbeard's had the idea of creating some sort of semi-regular channel zine for people to contribute ideas to. Each one will have a theme and we'll have it available as a PDF. I don't know how professional it'll be, how regular it'll be, how much stuff will be in there. But issue 1 will be on with the topic of goblins. So if you've got any goblin stuff, anything at all, and you fancy contributing, hello Andrew, then let Gingerbeard know. He can be contacted through the Discord channel. Sunday's my worst working day. If I'm rostered alternate Sundays in the shop, and that is 10 till 4. But I also run a pub quiz in the evening, and I leave between 8 and past, start the quiz at 9 o'clock, normally get home at midnight. But there's about 4 hours of preparation typically. So if I can't get that done early, and I can't do many things early, then I tend to get home from work. I live close to work, about 10 past 4, and then just spend 4 hours solid printing out sheets, writing questions, recording music. So my working day on a Sunday when I'm working the shop is effectively 10 till midnight, 10 a.m. till midnight. That's lovely. 14 hours solid, no break. Right, Alter has won. That's 5-3-1 by looks of things. So 103. If I don't work on a Sunday, I go and watch my kids play football. So I'm still in a rush with my quiz, but at least then the match starts at 2, so I tend to spend from about 11 till 1 on getting my quiz ready, which gives me a bit of free time in the evening. You decide on a fair bid for the gemstone-studded altar and submit your offer. Not long after, Mr. Warren empties the ballot box and begins sifting through the entries for the highest bid. Hard difficulty credit rating, 19%, We've passed on 19% with a roll of 15. So we succeeded. No need to use luck. Finally, you hear your name called. Your bid for the altar was found to be the highest. You are now saddled with a large and bulky item, easily the size of a traveller's trunk. Not unmanageable, but definitely more than you prefer to lug around. Still, it is surprisingly light, considering the number of gemstones worked into the ancient wood. Naturally, those will make it quite valuable, and the strange painted scrawls provoke your interest. Reduce your credit rating by 5%. And go back to 81. Are we going to bid on the crown or the robe? Remember, our appraisal of those wasn't particularly favourable. Or are we going to leave now? Crown, robe, or leave? We've got 33 points of credit rating left. Halakar wants to go back to the hotel and study his booty. I don't think we'll join him. Okay, everybody's saying leave. Right. Turn to 16. Your business here is completed. You see the crowd staring covetously at the newly acquired items, and you spot Amelia looking smug and satisfied with a leather bag full of cash. Mr. Warren begins to clear away the tables, while Officer Powell stands by the door and directs people out of the building and into the ever-thickening fog. Though some seem content to stay and socialise, you feel that it would be best to go and bed down for the night. Well, you pull someone out of the crowd and inquire as to where you can find a room to rent. You're directed a few blocks into town to a modestly priced hotel, a few buildings down from Esbury's police station. As you enter in from the cool night air, you're greeted by the heat of a roaring fire. The small front room feels stuffy and cramped. The bulk of the space is dominated by the large service counter, behind which sits a wiry-looking wisp of a woman. She turns her eyes wide to you and asks your name, then quotes you a price that's more than fair. With the transaction complete, you haul your thin briefcase up the stairs, unpack it, and settle into your room for the night. You wake in the morning, grateful for the rest. You rise from your bed and take in the modest surroundings that make up your room. The furnishings are sparse: a small, poor-quality dresser, a cramped and dusty writing desk, tucked in the corner. Sitting atop the desk is a plate of eggs and toast, apparently set out for you by the hotel's owner. The walls are plain and unadorned, save for a single window that faces towards the lake. However, this view is currently blocked by the incredibly thick fog, which has taken on a pale green hue. That doesn't can't be ominous. No, can't be. Your vision is obscured entirely, and you cannot see into the depths of that outlandish green mist. You also notice your personal belongings placed around the room, exactly as you left them the night before. It is indeed a briefcase of holding, Slam. After getting dressed and eating the modest breakfast set out for you, you're ready to begin your day. You take a moment to consider what that means for you. Your mind turns to Professor Harris. If you're so inclined, you might be able to investigate the circumstances of his death further. Considering that you don't have his widow Amelia's address, you would have to start your search with the official report filed by Officer Powell at the police station. Alternatively, you can take this free time to look through your belongings and examine any items you might have. The hotel owner has been in your room, so a check of your things might be in order, or perhaps you have some other reason to look over your possessions. Finally, if you feel that your business in Esbury is concluded, you can always try to find Lance Sanford at the ferry. So what should we do? Go to the police station, look over our stuff, or go to the ferry? Excuse me. Got a bit of a wheeze in my throat. Green fog. It's a thing here. Yeah, I thought you'd all go for examine. 5 votes for examine already. There's 14 in chat. 6 votes for examine. That's going to win. 7 votes for examine. We are examining the stuff. A cursory inspection of your personal belongings reveal that nothing is amiss. All of your possessions are just as you left them. While you are here looking things over, you can take this opportunity to more closely scrutinize items bought at the estate sale. So, shall we look at the journal? Shall we look at the altar? Or shall we look at the idol? We don't know that, Straw Piglet. We've got 0% Cthulhu mythos. So we don't know they exist. We have got 50 occult, but not specifically Cthulhu mythos. So what should we look at first? The book, the idol, or the altar? Place the idol on the altar, sacrifice the hotel keeper with the incantation in the journal. Well, we might have to bash her using the idol first. Okay, we're looking at the journal first. Only Elfbait wants to look at the altar first. Book then. Let's read the book. Okay. Bought the journal 74. This is a long passage to read. Get this one out of the way while I still have a voice. I can feel it croaking a little bit. Though you glanced at the notebook during the estate sale, you haven't had time to properly look over it until now. Hello, Munchy Gecko. Reading through the book, you become deeply engrossed and spend the next few hours in study. The time spent yields valuable information. Professor Harris made several trips to India, starting about 12 years ago. During these visits, he went to multiple sites to make observations and recover artifacts. His longest and most profitable trip appears to have been 10 years ago, during an excursion to Sarnath in India, where he writes about recovering several items from an active Buddhist shrine. Apparently, Professor Harris had some regrets about this theft, but he couldn't resist taking the artifacts for his personal collection. The description of the items he came across in Sarnath matched some of the items at the sale last night. The clay cylinders, the gemstone encrusted altar, and the lizard-like idol are all described in detail in the entries related to this trip. You'll be glad to know we have got the lizard idol this time, Munchy Gecko, so there we go. These same items then appear throughout the rest of his journal. He'd clearly been studying them over the past decade and developed something of a fixation with them. It was the idol that initially caught Harris's eye, and according to him, the depiction of the great and grotesque water lizard matched no description of any known Hindu deity. Hoping to find clues of the idol's identity, Harris set about trying to translate the mysterious script on the cylinders and the altar. In doing so, he met with significant difficulty, as the text was only barely recognizable as an archaic dialect of a pre-Sanskrit language. The process was slow and painstaking until about a year ago. At this time, Professor Harris writes of having a strange and enlightening dream. He reports walking in the ancient world from whence these items originated, a grand city of marble walls and onyx streets, bronze gates and marvelous palaces and gardens. He writes of visiting the 17 tower temples of this ancient city and meeting the bearded gods who dwelled there, sat upon their ivory thrones. Harris calls the strange place Sarnath, despite the sheer impossibility of this. He claims that among the temples he learned the secrets of the ancient writing. His next entry goes on to describe the odd clay cylinders as the brick cylinders of Kadatheron, though he hadn't yet identified the other objects. The next few pages have been torn from the journal. The entries resume with more mundane matters, though there are still references to the artifacts from time to time. The most recent entries within the journal speak of Harris's daily studies and living with Amelia. It's clear that he cared about her deeply from the way he writes about her, but he laments that his studies keep him from spending the time with her that he would like. Instead, he lavished her with gifts and money, which she was all too happy to accept. He notes that Amelia had never been happier, despite the distance between them. The last entry to catch your eye is dated a little over a week ago. Apparently, the pages torn from his journal went missing only recently. Professor Harris expresses deep concern at this, as there were no signs of forced entry to his study, and only he and Amelia had access to it, though he was sure he hadn't removed them from the journal himself. You finish your reading by glossing over the last week of the professor's life, which is rather uneventful and peaceful beyond his continued obsession with the artifacts and his occasional worries about Amelia. Okay, what we're going to look at next. We've got the idol and we've got the altar. Stop itching nose. I'm just making fog because it's atmospheric. That's a view from out of the window. It isn't green, no. It's a shame. I need a green filter of some sort. Oh, okay, let's have a little look. We've got idol, altar, idol, altar. Altar's winning. Let's have a look at the altar then. 28. We'll study Billy last. You examine the extraordinary altar. The most readily apparent feature beyond its size are the many gemstones set into its surface. They are of a greenish yellow colour and shine even in the half light of the room. You also notice strange lettering written in broad strokes along the object's side. The symbols are smeared and sloppily done, so you're written with some haste. What you had originally taken for paint is, upon closer examination, dried blood. While you cannot be certain, it would appear this item has been involved in some form of tragedy. It was Amelia with the altar in the auction room. Just saying. Okay, so let's have a look at the idol then. The idol. It's the I wonder if the idol was used to bash him. The altar, sorry. You look the idol over. It's made of a sea green stone and chiseled in the likeness of a water lizard of some sort. The sculpture is grotesque and hideous, and the very depiction of the lizard-like creature unnerves you. Still, the work is extremely well preserved and unquestionably ancient. You feel uncomfortable staring at the alien-looking thing for long, so you stow it away under the bed and out of sight. I am just going to have to go and blow my nose. We haven't learnt very much there, but just bear with me. I'll be gone about 30 seconds. Yes, indeed. Halakar doom comes to Sarnath. Spelled as well. I wonder. Yeah, slightly. Right. Our other options now are to go to the police station or go to the ferry. So, police station or ferry. Those are your choices. Ooh, yeah. Police station or ferry. Okay. Yeah, the cops killed us last time, but they killed us when we were breaking in, didn't they? Yeah, we got caught. Okay, so we're going to the ferry. See if the gentleman's there. You pause to consider the strange green coloration of the fog and its incredible thickness. You wonder if it's even safe to be out on the water with visibility so limited. You decide to head to the docks first to see if the ferry is still running before hauling all of your possessions down to the lake shore. You venture out into the cloying green mist and walk briefly towards the docks, and arrive to find Sanford pacing the deck of his boat with a small flask in hand. He stares out into the fog, lost in thought, before you rouse him by inquiring about passage out of town. He confirms your fears. Sorry, I can't take her out like this. I can barely see 3 feet in front of me. The lake is fairly tame, but I'd have no way of telling where the shore is, or if any of the boats might be out on the water. I like you, but it's too dangerous. I just can't risk it. I've rarely seen a fog this thick and this green. Never seen anything like it. I'm staying put. As thick as pea soup, indeed. Police station. Okay, choice now. Police station or hotel. Police station or back to the hotel. Yes, lizard fog. Yes. Well, I think that I'll show the cover. That's the cover of the adventures. I wonder. I wonder. 122. Feeling that it's the best course of action right now, you return to your room at the hotel. You turn the key in the lock and your door swings open to reveal a startling scene. Your room has been ransacked. The bed is overturned and the covers are strewn about. The dresser drawers have all been pulled out and emptied. Your briefcase lies open on the floor. Anything of value you had is gone. Anything you may have gained from the estate sale is no longer in your possession. There's a typo there. And anything you brought with you beyond the basic essentials is likewise missing. The window hangs open, letting the greenish mist into the room. You close it to keep out the chill and begin to set things straight while you overcome the shock of what has happened. As you consider your options, the sound of a loud and violent commotion drift in from the room next door. Shall we ignore the scuffle, or shall we go and investigate it? Yeah. It's those men in black. It's got to be. Yeah, with everything. We've been robbed. Looks like we're investigating, because we are an investigator. Fearing that someone might be in danger, or perhaps this commotion is somehow related to the theft from your room, you rush to investigate. You find the adjacent room's door is open, and inside you discover a large and familiar-looking man in a dark suit. He looms over the prone body of a beaten and bloodied Buddhist monk. The man in the suit has clearly worked him over. The suited man has his back to you, and you doubt you've been noticed yet. With a little luck, you might be able to get the drop on him and subdue him quickly. Alternatively, if you have come into the possession of a firearm, we haven't, you could always resort to lethal force. Okay. So we've only got the option to try and, Hello, Major's Musings. We've got to try and crack him. Hello, Echo. Hello, Biff. People piling in. We've got a fighting brawl of 45. Oh, we failed. We failed. That means we take damage. 1 point. I have 9 hit points left. If you fail, 129. You take a step towards the man. He hears you approach and rounds on you, swinging wildly with a shout of surprise. His fist catches you in the chest and sends you sprawling backwards. He throws himself on top of you, landing blow after blow with his fists. You raise your arms to fend off the worst of his fury as he works you over. Amid the confusion, you glance up to the monk, now running out of the room. Finally, the man in the suit grabs you by the collar and begins slamming you violently against the floor. It takes only a few such blows before you lose consciousness. You awake, stripped of any weapons and tied to a chair in a dusty basement. The first thing you notice is the pain from your wounds. They are still fresh and have not been tended in any way. The second thing you notice is the table across from you with its strange collection of items. A pair of cracked clay cylinders, a gemstone-studded altar with curious scrolls, a stack of papers, and an unnatural-looking idol of sea-green stone fashioned in the shape of a lizard-like creature. Standing next to the table is a man that you can't quite make out in the dimness of the room. He puffs absently at a cigar as he stares at you. Behind the table is a still and other bootlegging equipment. You turn your head to see one of the suited men from before leaning against the door, sipping from a flask. When you begin to move, the unknown man walks over to you. He grins widely, and you spot a glint of madness in his eyes as he hovers at the edge of the illuminated area. He produces a knife from his pocket, and the blade catches the glimmer of the dim bulb flickering above. The stranger shoots a glance at the suited man by the door, who then nods and leaves. The remaining man comes up to the light and presses the knife against your cheek. It digs into your flesh, nicking you and drawing a drop of blood on the tip. Thought you could cause trouble for Josh, eh? I'm going to enjoy this, getting rid of my little problem. Everything until you started snooping around. You're putting me and Amelia both in danger here, and you're getting in the way of my plans. So I'm going to enjoy tearing open your throat and offering your life to the idol. Perhaps it will please him. And then I'll get what I want. I'll finally make my way to that beautiful place that I've seen in my dreams. It will be over soon. But I will bleed you slow, because I want to enjoy this. He takes the knife and presses it in deeper. You struggle reflexively against your bonds, trying to escape the pain. Perhaps if you struggle hard enough, you can break free. Make a strength roll. Hey! After all recent failures, we've passed something. That's a good pass as well. 115. Rolled a 23. You struggle against your bonds as you begin to panic. Mercifully, they give way. Joshua is shocked by the sound of snapping rope echoing off the walls, and he jumps away from you on pure reflex. You act on instinct. Without thinking, you rush towards him, attempting to wrestle a knife from his grasp. You know that you need to be the one in control of the weapon if you're going to survive this, especially as there's another armed man just outside the door. You grasp Joshua's forearm, preventing him from attacking the knife. You then try to, even as you jab and strike him with knees and elbows, hoping desperately that you can snatch the blade from his grip. Make a fighting brawl roll. 73. Even if we use all our luck, we fail. I think this is going to be bad. Try as you might, you are unable to pry the blade from Joshua's grasp. He manages to land a single solid punch to your face that sends you reeling backward. In a moment, he's on top of you. Joshua locks eyes with you, smiling with wicked glee as he rests the cold metal lightly against your throat. Then his eyes glaze over as he begins speaking a strange tongue. Gran Yahan Ningronog Bakrub Stelbisnar Flegeth Epthrodron. He speaks each syllable in a slow, monotonous tone, as if he's focusing very carefully on the sound of the words. As the last syllable passes his lips, Joshua takes the knife and presses it sharply against your neck. With a single, smooth motion, he slits your throat. As you bleed out, your eyes perceive impossible visions. The world before you melts away, replaced by a shining city of marble, onyx, and lustrous gems. You see this magnificent city in all its splendor sitting next to a placid lake, and then in an instant it's gone as the water rises up to swallow it. The lizard thing of the idol, given life and power by your blood, surges up from the water. The being eyes you with malicious sentience as the waters swell and consume you. You have been offered up as a sacrifice to one of the great old ones. The end. You cursed us, Biff. You cursed us. Curses. I think actually it's Mage's musings that's cursed us. I mean, yeah. I blame it on that skull. Right. We have about 45 minutes of stream left. And I did say if we failed on Alone Against the Tide, which we have, we'll dive into Warlock. We weren't a PI that time, Halakar. We were a historian. So I picked skills like archaeology, history, library use, things like that, because it was a historian. So we had some physical skills, but not particularly great. So, oh well. I think it's an idea to have charm. I think charm might be useful. Certainly anthropology might be useful. In fact, we failed on those multiple times. But we live and learn. We had fighting brawl of 45%, which is average. Nothing special. Okie dokie. So, shall we start with Warlock of Firetop Mountain? We have failed this once. Thank you, Straw Piglet. Thank you. Okay, I'm just going to find out how much gold we start with. Oh, yeah, we can start with a potion. I'm going to have a potion of fortune, because that's the best one. A provisions. We've got 10 meals. I don't think we've got any gold to begin with. No, we don't start with gold. Okay. Okay, so we are heading off to Firetop Mountain to get the treasure. It's just a simple go and get treasure mission. It was, of course, the first book in the Fighting Fantasy series. It was you were a warrior with a sword going to try and get the loot from the mountain. That is nothing complicated, nice, straightforward. And that's where we start. A cave entrance. Focus. Doesn't want to focus. You can see it anyway. At last, your 2-day hike is over. You unsheath your sword, lay it on the ground, and sigh with relief as you lower yourself down onto the mossy rocks to sit for a moment's rest. You stretch, rub your eyes, and finally look up at Firetop Mountain. The very mountain itself looks menacing. The steep face in front of you looks to have been savaged by the claws of some gargantuan beast. Sharp rocky crags jut out at unnatural angles. At the top of the mountain, you can see the eerie red colouring, probably just some strange vegetation, which has given the mountain its name. Perhaps no one will ever know exactly what grows up there, because climbing the peak must surely be impossible. Your quest lies ahead of you. Across the clearing is a dark cave entrance. You pick up your sword, get to your feet, and consider what dangers may lie ahead of you. With determination, you thrust the sword home into its scabbard and approach the cave. You peer into the gloom to see dark, slimy walls with pools of water on the stone floor in front of you. The air is cold and dank. You light your cobweb. You light your lantern and step warily into the blackness. Cobwebs brush your face, and you hear the scurrying of tiny feet. Rats, most likely. You set off into the cave. After a few yards, you arrive at a junction. Shall we go west or shall we go east? There we go. That's the intro. Nice and short and simple. Shall we go west or shall we go east? None of this complicated appraising idle stuff. I do love a bit of Call of Cthulhu. I mean, there's a certain something about those adventures. Daniel is first to vote, and Daniel says west. Go west, young man. But we're now at 2-2. As Biff has followed Daniel, but Slan has gone against the grain, and Gecko has gone east. Gecko's probably happy that we've been sacrificed to his lord and master. Anyone else voting? 2-2 at the moment. 2 west, 2 east. Speaking of Gecko, here's Echo. Roland goes west, Echo goes west, and Mage's Musings goes east. We're 4-3 at the moment. Very even split. No real clues to go on, though, are there? 4-3. Any more votes? Right, 2 more for West. So that takes us to 6-3, and West wins. Turn to 71. There is a right-hand turn to the north in the passage. Cautiously, you approach a sentry post on the corner. As you look in, you see a strange goblin-like creature in leather armor asleep at his post. So you try to tiptoe past him. Test your luck. We've passed. We started with high luck, so you're likely to pass early on. If you are lucky, he does not wake up and remains snoring loudly. Turn to 301. So, there. Artwork. Focus. Focus. There we go. It's Russ Nicholson, the artist. 301. To your left, on the west face of the passage, there is a rough-cut wooden door. You listen at the door and can hear a rasping sound, which may be some sort of creature snoring. Do you want to open the door, or shall we just continue northwards? Open the door or go north? Yes, it's all Russ Nicholson art in here, which is marvellous for any fans of the Fiend Folio. Of course, he's the chap who did that wonderful picture of a revenant in the Fiend Folio. And the Grell, that's his work as well. Good stuff. And the crypt thing. That's a great piece of art as well. One, two, three, four, 5 doors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 north. So 5 doors versus 3 north. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 doors, 3 north. So it looks like door is winning at the moment. What's the best piece of artwork in the Fiend Folio then? I think it's the crypt thing, but the Revenant and the Grell push it close. There's also the lizard creatures attacking the ziggurat as well, isn't there? That's a good piece. And the cover. So it looks like we're going for the door. Turned to 82. The door opens to reveal a small, smelly room. In the center of the room is a rickety wooden table on which stands a lit candle. Underneath the table is a small wooden box. Asleep on a straw mattress in the far corner of the room is a short, stocky creature with an ugly, warty face, the same sort of creature that you found asleep at the sentry post. He must be the guard for the night watch. You may either return to the corridor or creep into the room and try to take the box. So, shall we attempt to steal the box, or shall we return to the corridor and press on northwards? Half hour left on this one tonight. Hello, Justin. Okay, so yeah, five out of 5 going for the box straight away. Okie dokie. So we're going to test our luck again. Passed again, but we are now down to 8 luck. Though. Every time we test our luck, we use up a luck point. We're going to roll equal to or less than that on 2d6 to succeed. So obviously our chances are good at the moment, but 147. You can tell when the light goes out, we have to start behaving ourselves. Because Mrs. Geek is in the house. And Geeky Dog is here as well. Hello, Geeky Dog. Hello, Hungar. How are you doing? Are you out of hospital yet? Or are you still stuck in that place? You leave the room and open the box in the passage. Inside you find a single piece of gold and a small mouse, which must have been the creature's pet. Ah, we've nicked his pet mouse. Oh, and the mouse scurries off down the passageway. Gain 2 luck points, and we've got a piece of gold. Thank you, Hungar. The insults have started. The insults have started. We are officially nerds. Because Hungar says so. I introduced my Monday night gaming lot to the Hungar t-shirt this week for the first time. They liked it. They thought it was funny. Right. So we continue down the passage. Further up the passageway along the west wall, you see another door. You listen at it, but hear nothing. Should we try opening this door, or should we continue northwards? So open this door, or continue northwards. Oh, that's not good news, Hungar. Well, yeah, just take it easy, rest up. Oh, Doggy wants attention. She did this on stream on Wednesday. She sits right about a foot from me, stares at me, offering me a paw. 30 minutes. Wait 30 minutes. Okay? Okay? Just be patient. Be patient. Yeah, she gave one paw. I shook it, so she put it down and she gave the other paw. Which way did the mouse just ran off down the passage? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for door, 6 for door. 1 for north. 1 for give paw. Okay, so it's the door. 397. Best thing to do, Hungar, just to sleep your way through it. The door opens to a small room with a stone and dirty walls. There's a stale smell in the air. In the centre of the room is a makeshift wooden table on which is standing a lit candle. Under the table is a small box. In the far corner of the room is a straw mattress. Shall we try opening the box, or shall we leave the room? So open the box or leave the room. Over to you, nerds. We're at 3-2 at the moment. 4-3 now. 4 for opening the box, 3 for leave. Five for open the box. 6 for box, 7 for box. box takes it 240. Ah, yes. Yes, it looks marvellous on me, Hunger. It looks marvellous. There we go. That's the box. There's not more mice in the box. The box is light, but something rattles within. You open the lid and a small snake darts out to bite your wrist. You must fight the snake. Okay, we are fighting a snake. We are much stronger than the snake. And I'm going to hit it once, which, unsurprisingly, we do straight away. Snake. It only had 2 stamina, it could only take 1 hit. And it had 5 skill compared to our 11. So, yeah. Kill the snake, turned 145. How have you managed to get onto the topic of that, Justin? Oh, the box has fallen to the ground during a fight with a snake, and out of it has fallen a bronze-coloured key with the number 99 carved into it. Key 99. Add a luck point? No, we can't. We're at maximum luck. And leave the room. So there we go. We found a key. It's worth opening the box. Oh, right, okay. I've never seen it. Sorry. I'm squeamish. I might like playing Call of Cthulhu and describing icky things. Don't like looking at icky things. There we go. Further up the passage on the west wall, you see another similar door. You listen at the door and grimace to hear the worst singing you've ever heard in your life. Do you want to go into the room to investigate this hideous din, or shall we walk on up the passageway? So do we go into the room to investigate this hideous din, or do we walk on up the passageway? Ooh. Hungar's got his anger is there, dictating his answers. Nobody is a worse singer than me. Nobody. Doesn't stop me though. Where does your chat keep going, Gecko? Haha. There's not many in the family who can sing. I think my dad's just about the only one. So we're going inside. Investigating the hideous din. The door opens to reveal a small room. The room is dirty and unkempt. A straw mattress lies in one corner. In the centre of the room is a wooden table, upon which a candle burns, lighting the room with its flickering flame. A small box rests under this table as well. There's lots of boxes under tables. Seated around the table are two small creatures with warty skin dressed in leather armour. They are drinking some sort of grog. And by the way they stagger to their feet on your arrival, you assume they are very drunk. Proper goblins. You may either draw your sword and leap forward at them, or shall we slam the door quickly and run up the passage? So do we attack the drunken goblins, or shall we run away? I haven't got a broken hoe anymore. Granny herpes told me to get rid of it. Looks like we're fighting them, doesn't it? Looks like we're fighting them. Lots of votes for fight. Okay, here we go. The two drunken orcs, not goblins, they're orcs. The two drunken orcs you now face are obviously startled at your entrance, and as quickly as they are able, they fumble around for the weapons, for their weapons. You must attack each one in turn. Their drunkenness allows you to add 1 point to your dice roll when you work out your attack strength. It makes my skill effectively 12, and they've both got 5. So they're not very strong. 5, 6. They've got to beat me by 6 to 7 to even tie. 11, 4. That's 1 dead. 8, 8. Ooh, 5. Even beating me 10, 5 on the dice is not enough. There's another one. Yeah, that's easy. It's easy when they're drunk. It's really important to have good skill in this. You wipe your bloodied sword on the mattress. The green blood leaves a slimy stain on the straw. In Tolkien, orcs and goblins were pretty much the same thing. Stepping over the bodies towards the table, you flinch at the foul stench of the creatures. You pick up the box from under the table and examine it. It's a small wooden box with crude hinges. The name Farigo di Maggio is inscribed on a brass nameplate on its lid. Shall we open the box, or shall we leave it behind? Shall we open the box, or shall we leave it behind? I do remember that the name Farigo di Maggio is useful, so I'm writing it down. Of course, this isn't the Lord of the Rings. Ian Livingstone is not Tolkien. I'm a fan of the pig-faced orcs from early D&D. I think that they were the best orcs. Open the box. 296. The box contains a small leather-bound book entitled The Making and Casting of Dragonfire. You open the pages and begin to read. Fortunately, it is written in your own language, and so is probably not understood by the orcs. Otherwise, this treasure would certainly not be as loosely guarded as it was. The book is written in tiny handwriting by Farrago DiMaggio. In it, he tells the story of his life's work, the creation of the Dragonfire spell, with which to fight evil dragons. You read how in his last years, Farrago finally perfected his spell, but by then was too old to make use of it. So he completed his book, locked it in a chest and hid it in the depths of Firetop Mountain, afraid that it might fall into the wrong hands. The last page reads, "And so, you, who now hold this book, you have my life's work in your hands. The power of destruction is yours if you wish it, but do not waste it. Unless you use the spell for the purpose for which it was intended, you shall be consumed by evil itself and die by the fire from your own hands. Remember, only when the dragon breathes its fire at you should you raise your arms and say, Ekil Erif, Ekam Erif, Erif Erif, DiMaggio." You say these words slowly and softly. Suddenly the pages seem to glow, and as this glow disappears, so do the words on the pages of the book. You repeat the spell to yourself to memorize it, and then leave the room. I have heard people pronounce, saying here, spare me your Tolkien gestures. I have heard people pronounce his name Token, but no, it's Tolkien. Anyway. Too late. I can't write it down now. We've got to remember it. 42. You eventually arrive at the end of the passage at a three-way junction. So, are we going to take the left fork and go west, or the east fork and go right? There's no time for pedantry in fighting fantasy books. We just have to go with the flow. Yeah. Lou Ferry. How do you pronounce his name? Ferrigno or Ferrigno? But yes, him being the Hulk. The Incredible Hulk TV series from the 70s. Yes. Is that the one that changed Dr. Banner's Christian name? It wasn't Bruce Banner anymore. He was David Banner in that TV series. So you pronounce the IG. It's not Italian. It's not Ferrigno. It's Ferrigno. Hulk smash. Elfbait. Tell Australians that. They like the name. As I say, tell Australians that, because you wouldn't say that to an Australian rugby player or an Aussie Rules footballer. Right. So where we it looks like pretty much everyone's saying left, west, west, left. Keep going left. So Bruce became Dave. Right, Dave. We all know a Dave. Everyone knows a Dave. The passageway runs straight for several meters and then ends at a wooden door. You listen at the door and hear angry shouting coming from within. Shall we investigate or shall we turn back? Investigate or turn back? Could go for about another 10 minutes. As always, I never want to tread on the toes of established streams, so I try and finish before midnight, well before the pumpkin hour. We're investigating? We are investigating, of course we are. 168. You open the door to a large room. A large chair behind a solid-looking table suggests to you that someone or something of rank uses this room. A chest in the center catches your eye. In a corner of the room stands a man-sized creature with a warty face standing over a smaller creature of a similar race. With the whip in his hand, the orc chieftain has been beating his servant, who is whimpering beneath him. What shall we do? Attack them both? Spring at the chieftain in the hope that his servant will help us? Or leave the room? More art. So, attack them both, attack the chieftain, or leave the room. Those are your choices. Right, we're going for the chieftain then. As you spring at the chieftain, his servant rises to his feet, picks up a hefty wooden stick and joins the melee. But to your disappointment, he attacks you, ungrateful wretch. Seeing this, you may try to escape, or shall we continue the fight? Shall we run away, or shall we try and continue the fight? Fight them both, or leg it. I would have said it can't be Hungar's photo because there's no beards, but James has shaved. I saw that. Was it Monday or Tuesday he was streaming? Couldn't believe it. Beat them both like red-headed stepchildren. Yes. Okay, so Munchy Gecko thinks we should run away like Braves for Robin, and Echo says run as well. So Gecko and Echo both go for run. But everybody else is up for the scrap. So we're up for a scrap. 372. The battle commences. We've got 11 skill versus the chieftain's 7. We have to fight him first. Oh, he's on 17. 18 versus 17. We won the first round. He rolled really well that round. 19 versus 17 second round. We've won that round. Oh, even with a double one, we've got 13 versus his 12 in the third round. Killed him. Servant's easy. Bosh. Servant's much weaker. Very low skill. We haven't even been hit yet. We haven't been hit yet. If you defeat them both turns, there will be harder things later on. I mean, we failed this book the first time we played it, but we didn't find everything we needed. The green blood of the dead orcs smells foul as it seeps from their bodies. You step around the corpses and investigate the chest. It is a sturdy affair made of strong oak and iron, and it is firmly... Shall we try to smash the lock with our sword, or shall we leave it alone and go through the open door? Right. Shall we smash the lock with our sword, or shall we leave it alone and go through the open door? James, the king of the Gungans. Whenever you've seen someone, I mean, I saw James brought up one of his old videos from years ago when his hair was black as well. When you've only ever seen someone look a certain way, to see them suddenly change is like, what? Everyone's going for smash. Everyone's going for smash. Right, okay. 339. The lock was obviously inadequate. It flies off and lands on the floor several meters away. You lift up the heavy lid, and your eyes widen as you see the gold sheen coming from within. A fair number of gold pieces are inside. In one corner lies a small black bottle with a tight glass stopper containing a liquid of some kind. Also in the chest is a silky black glove. But as you're admiring this treasure, you hear a soft click and wince in pain as a small dart shoots forward into your stomach. Roll a d6 and subtract this number of points from your stamina. 3. If you're still alive, of course we are, turn to 201. You sink to the floor, pull the dart out and decide to bandage the wound. This gives some relief, but you still feel weak. You decide to take it easy and examine the contents of the chest. You can also eat some provisions here. I think we should. We've got 10 provisions. We might as well. There we go. There are 25 gold pieces, and the label on the bottle shows it to be a potion of invisibility. So we now have 26 gold pieces, a potion of invisibility. The glove is a mystery. Okay, we have a glove. There we go. Turn to 293. Is it the Michael Jackson prep kit? Michael Jackson couldn't turn invisible. So we have plenty of gold. You arrive back at the junction in the passage and walk straight on eastwards. Put it on try to moonwalk. And be careful of lighting as well. Don't set your hair on fire. You arrive at another junction in the passage. You may either go northwards or continue eastwards. North or east. Was it a Pepsi commercial he set himself on fire? or filming. I think it was. So shall we go north or shall we go east? Next time you come onto one of my streams, Halakar, you're going to have to sing that. Everyone who's in chat, remind us, because we need Halakar do a Michael Jackson impression and sing that while tapping himself on the head. Everyone wants to go north. Right. Okay. 285. I'm going to be staying up for the Super Bowl this year. Yes, I'll be past my bedtime because I am a Philadelphia Eagles fan, as I've said many times, ever since the days of Randall Cunningham and Reggie White. Keith Jackson, tight end. Seth Joyner, big linebacker. Jerome Brown, died young. See? I've got a Cunningham shirt somewhere. Okay. You see a well-used door on the right-hand east side of the passageway. With your ear to the keyhole, you listen and hear a man screaming for help inside. Shall we open the door or shall we walk on? It was indeed a great team. It was indeed. Wide receiver was Mike Quick. Perfect name for a receiver. Do you remember any more? Didn't Ernest Biner play for them back then? Or was he Cleveland Browns? Had a really good fullback. Can't think of his name. Oh, going back. Anyway. Let's help the dude. Yes. This is the last one of tonight. So 213. Biner wasn't. Yeah, Biner was a Brown. Who am I thinking of? Who am I thinking of? There was the Eagles had a big, very versatile fullback. Can't remember who it was. The door is locked. You may try to charge it down by rolling 2 dice. If the number rolled is equal to or less than your skill score, it bursts open. Yeah, well, I've got a skill of 11, 2d6, and I've rolled 3. So, and the door bursts open, turn to 36. Eagles halfback was Anthony Toney, but I can't remember the name of the fullback. Locked door bursts open and a nauseating stench hits your nostrils. Inside the room, the floor is covered with bones, rotting vegetation, and slime. A wild-haired old man clothed in rags rushes at you screaming. His beard is long and grey, and he's waving an old wooden chair leg. Is he simply insane as he appears, or is this some kind of trap? Shall we shout at him to try and calm him down, or shall we draw our sword and attack him? We'll find that out next time. I've written down number 36 for where we are. Keith Byers, not Ernest Biner. Keith Byers, that's the one I was thinking of. Similar name, Biner, Byers. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. There he is, the old man with a chair leg running at us. Hello, Michael. You appear to have joined just as we're about to finish. But yes, I mixed up Ernest Biner and Keith Byers. BY, yes. Similar sounding names. But we will continue that next week. Which is a shame because we've got 15 people in chat at the moment. But I don't like treading on other people's toes when it comes to streams and stuff. I slotted in before midnight on purpose because it fits my time zone and no one else was streaming at this time. So it makes sense. And 2.5 hours of reading is enough for anybody. Yeah, we probably do need to finish that Call of Cthulhu adventure at some time, but I'm not going to run it next week. We do need to have going back over the same thing over and over again could get a bit repetitive, so we'll give it a few weeks before we go back to that one. So all that remains is for me to say thank you for contributing in chat. It took a bit of getting going this week. You seem to I own this stream slot. I don't own anything. We did take a bit of getting going tonight. You're all a bit slow on the uptake to begin with, but we got going, and it was good in the end. Thank you all. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Munchy Gecko. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Biff, Halakar, Slan, Mage's Musings, everybody, and Hungar, and everybody who's dived in tonight. And I'll see you all Wednesday. Good night. Good night. Oh, thank you, Elfbait and Biff. I forgot about you, Bear.